the values of Igbo land and bring it back again to what it used to be. To reimagine, to recreate, to renew, to rebrand, to rethink, to reconsider the values of Igbo land that will take us very far and stop and nip in the bud the crisis we are experiencing today in Igbo land. When we talk about social justice in any modern society that wants its civilization and culture to maintain, there must be social justice. The social justice, both the United Nations, International Labour Organization, Wikipedia, Britannica Dictionary, they all define it as fairness, equitable distribution of resources in any society, in any community, in any group, equitable, and in respect for human rights and dignity of the human person. Some of the key principles of social justice includes fairness and equity. If you are sharing something and you have excluded some people or some groups or citing some developmental problems in the state or in the communities, and you have excluded some other individuals and groups and some communities, remember that you are violating the principles of social justice. You also have there equality of persons, equality of states, equality of communities. This idea of some governors, some legislators, federal government giving some developmental projects, citing some development projects in some communities and leaving others. Remember that we are violating the principles in social justice. Again, social justice includes also in its ambit respect and dignity of the human rights. These are fundamental principles enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations, also enshrined in United Nations Declaration of Human Rights 1948, and also part of its 2030 17 development goals. This is the maintenance of the social justice is the way that you don't have wars, you don't have conflicts, you don't have people at the margins that will take up arms against society. Then in an Igbo society, because I said that this is very dear to me, United Nations, to show the importance of social justice, has already reserved a day, 20th of February, every year, as a day for the celebration of social justice. You can see how important it is. Today is on the 20th of February of 2025, but we have looked at the Igbo society and we have seen the crisis engulfing Igbo society. We have also seen the betrayals and the treacheries of some of us. We have also seen the murders that we used to abhor in our society seeping into Igbo land. And we feel that this is the time for us to speak up once more that Igbo society, the Igbo nation, that Igbo land is in crisis, and draw attention to one salient point that is making it impossible for us to exist as a nation, and that is the absence of social justice. And who are those people who are now left at the margins, excluded in the scheme of things? Deny social justice in terms of sharing of resources, economic, political, social, and cultural. One, you have, first of all, in the scheme of things in Igbo land, in Nigeria, Igbo people are at the margin. Quote me any day, I don't have any apologies for anybody. From British colonization to the genocides they unleashed on Igbo as colonizers of Nigeria. So saying that the 1966 coup was Igbo coup that brought about the unleashing of pogrom and the genocidal massacres of more than 3 Igbo people through either shellings or through starvation. So note, and despite the statement of Gowon that you have, that there is no victor, no vanquished, this is just a mere statement. Because from 1970 till now, the Igbos have continued to be kept at the margin of Nigerian society. Where are the infrastructures that other people are getting? What about the railroads that are being constructed everywhere in the country? What about the appointment of judges in other places and all the courts? What about ministerial appointments and what have you? And if you don't go to lick the hands of some people and some groups, some ethnic groups, you will be nothing. But the greatest marginalization that is sharing Igbo land is the marginalization that is within Igbo land, not the external one. And that is where we have to watch out so that we are not broken. Because the breaking that can come from inside is a kind of breaking that will not make the center to hold again. Who are those people who are marginalized? Some communities in Igbo land are also marginalized groups. When the governors and what have you wanted to cite developmental problems, like developmental projects, like hospitals, like schools, like centers, industries, they cite it just in their own places. What about the other communities? Where are they? Why shouldn't they also gain from the dividends of democracy? Then apart from that, you also have the women and girls. From our patriarchal system, we believe that women are nothing. But I believe that the situation is changing. In the past, girls don't go to school. Women are seen as chattels that could be sold by their parents to any man. But that narrative is changing. Women are not going to school. Women are not going to school. So we have to also see women. In the past, women are seen as just the means of procreation, training their children. But like I said, everything is changing. But yet, how many female governors have we had apart from our mother, Mrs. Etiaba in Anambra State? None of them. All. I mean all are men. How many senators are women? How many vice chancellors are occupying the administrative positions in the universities in this Igbo land? Except women like Mrs. Oti, Professor Mrs. Oti at Futo, and now Omenoga at Chukwemeka Odumegwu University. Women also need that empowerment, not just to be seen as vessels of creation. Then what about the disabled people? People living with disabilities in Igbo land. Why should we leave them alone? Let me ask the governors alone. Let my voice be heard everywhere. Why should they be left alone as if they are not part of the society? Why should they be kept at the margins of the society? Why should we not take care of them with all the billions of naira and dollars we are making? Why should the money be siphoned outside and people that are living with a disability are left to fend for themselves? What about the mentally challenged people? Let me tell you today that it is obvious. I've traveled around the country and elsewhere. What about the concept of Ńkàtà Ụ in the Igbo proverb? What about that concept of Ọnụrụ Ube Nwanne? What are we doing with the millions of naira and billions we are raking and keeping for our children overseas? When many of our brothers and sisters are roaming the streets, the villages, the motor parks, the markets, the alleys of Igbo land, and nobody cares about them. It is an abomination before God and man that we leave them to be sitting everywhere and we think that we are progressing. Let me tell our leaders, let me talk to our elders, let me say it to the elite that we have disappointed our ancestors by not taking care of those of us who should be taken care of. What about our children? Apart from those of you who come from wealthy homes, many of your colleagues, many of the children like you, many of them live in your families. Why should these boys and girls called housemates and house girls, why should they eat different food from those prepared by your parents? Why should they wear torn clothes? Why should they not go to school? Instead, they are sent to hawk pure water and sell bread in the markets and in the parks. Why should it be so? So these are the people that our society has kept at the margin. And we are now asking questions that those individuals are already weaponized persons that will fight the society today. What about the elderly? Do you know that the elderly in Igbo society that they are now part of the marginalized group? What are the facilities that should take care of them? What about elderly people's homes for those who don't have people to take care of them? Some of the churches will tell you that your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents are witches and wizards. They are witches and wizards, but they trained you. Some of our people don't interact with their elders because they have been branded with nonsense names, and they live alone and die alone because they are called witches and wizards. So we have to interrogate all these things and see where the rain starts beating us. Then what about the strangers in our midst? So it's only in Igbo land that you hear Igbo people calling other Igbo people non-indigenous, and we think that we are progressing. You can see these Northerners. Anywhere they meet fellow Northerners, that is their home. But here, I'm from Nnewi. If you meet somebody from Nsukka at Nnewi, we will call him non-indigenous. He doesn't need to have all the rights. And it is everywhere. What about those people from other ethnic groups living with us? Why are they being marginalized? It's time for us to understand and know and consider that the measure you give is the measure you can receive. So let us think again. Then what are the things that we should do? What are the remedies? And what are first of all, what are the consequences of exclusion and social injustice? One, it can bring conflicts, communal conflicts, where you take something from people, like the youth are being marginalized, used as stocks, they can unleash mayhem on the group. Also, community, you see communal conflicts, two groups, two communities fighting one another because a stronger group or a wealthier community feels that he can snatch the land of other people. Then it can also cause ill health and mental stress, psychopathological disorder. Some of these people you see roaming the streets, they are there because they have been dealt with by relations, by friends, by neighbors. And let me tell you today that there is a thin line between sanity and insanity. And that is why I will tell you today that the Igbo people, the Igbo land, the Igbo nation has the highest number of mentally challenged people in the world. And what are we doing to stem that tide? We have that principle of Awgu. So we have to destroy others because of our capitalism and individualism. The quest to make money, the quest to accumulate wealth, we destroy others. Then, apart from that, we are talking about the problems that can be generated through this thing. What about our broken homes? Broken states. Look at the conflicts everywhere in Igbo land. Don't think that what is happening in Igbo land today falls from heaven. Some of us are disgruntled with the society because they are discriminated. Some of us are unhappy with the society because they have been pushed at the margins of things. And they feel today, when we are talking about terrorism in the north, when we are talking about banditry in the north, when we are talking about insurgency in the north, remember, and you should know, that those insurgents, that they are people that have been kept for centuries at the margins of societies. And they are saying that they will never live again in the 21st century like their fathers. And that thing is seeping into Igbo land. And it seems we are unaware. How many of us can go home today? How many of us can travel to their towns today? Why? Don't you know why it is so? Those people who have been marginalized are angry with us. Those cousins of ours that have been kept at home without going to school, without learning any trade, without doing anything. Those people that we snub and send our precious children abroad, where they drive good cars, where they wear best clothes, where they live in posh houses. Let me tell you that they are the ones that have taken arms against the Igbo society. They are the ones. Because they are angry. Because they can no longer agree to be kept in the margins. So today is for us to look at ourselves again and think again, have a rethink, reconsider our actions. Because those precious children we send abroad, where they have security, and we create insecurity here by looting the treasuries of our states and local governments and wherever we are. When your precious children will finish abroad, they cannot come home because their cousins are armed and waiting for them. And if you think that, oh, I want them to live overseas, you should reconsider and rethink again, because there will be a time when they will have the quest to come back home, but there will be no home for them. Now, how can we solve this problem of social injustice and exclusion? One is that sensitization. And I very much appreciate and thank the Center for Memories and the people here that are working with them, including their patrons and those who believe in them. Those of you who are here today, I thank you all, because sensitization is very important. You have started the conversation. Let it go everywhere, in the market squares, in schools, in churches, in all gatherings, that we have to think about social inclusion of people, economic inclusion of people, political inclusion of people, and cultural inclusion, if our society has to survive, thrive, and go on. Again, moreover, we have to also set up advocacy groups that will continue to talk to our people, particularly those in governments. The resources of the state, the resources of the local government, the treasuries are not only for you and your families to be looted and kept abroad. It should go round. What about our millionaires? And they just for their families. You cannot be on 180. After all, the sun does not shine only in your family. The moon cannot also shine in your family. You need to extend it. If you are a billionaire and you give 1 million to 1,000 people in your community, you have changed and humanized the face of your community. If you are a millionaire and you have given 100 people 1 million after learning the trade, remember that you have changed the face of your community positively. If there are also indigent people, very poor neighbors, why can't you build houses for them if you are 180? Why can't you send their children to schools instead of allowing them to stay in the house and be washing your plates and washing your cars? Why? Let us rise up and build industries that will take up unemployed youth and the underemployed people. Let us rise up and do the right thing so that it shall be well with our community. We need also the NGOs. We need the laws that will enshrine and encapsulate and recommend punishment for those people who are violating social justice and inclusion in our communities and in our societies, so that it shall be well with Igbo land. Let us also rise and have robust men and women who can say enough is enough. I'll conclude this lecture by telling you once again that the time for us to act is now. The time for us to include those people at the margins in Igbo land is now. Tomorrow may be too late. What we are seeing today in Igbo land is just a sip of water from the tsunami flooding that will erupt. What we are seeing today, the crisis we are seeing today, it is now small, violent earthquake. Just some noise, just small vibration that will engulf Igbo land. What we are seeing today is the volcanic eruption. Just a small sound of it that we are witnessing. Today is the time to include everybody at the margins of Igbo society so that it shall be well with Igbo I'll rest my lecture here. Thank you.
Please, more rounds of applause for our distinguished. All right, the topic is Ọnụrụ Ube Nwanne, Reimagining Inclusion and Social Justice in Igbo. You know how we say it, Ọnụrụ Ube Nwanne menagene. Yeah, so Professor Florence Orabueze has thrown a stone in the mud. He talked to the government, to the Igbo billionaires, to you and to myself. So if you have a splash, it is your time to wash. So if you are joining Ńkàtà Ụ for the very first time, or you are a regular attendee of Ńkàtà Ụ, please, I'd like you to do well to amplify this message this evening. You can do that using your social media, and I think that is the least we can do now. So if you are engaging in social media, you can engage the hashtags Ńkàtà Ụ and Center for Memories, and let's spread the message about inclusion, about social justice in Igbo. Please, more rounds of applause for our distinguished speaker. All right, like you know, we are going to move to the dialogue session, and the person to steer this dialogue session is no other than very distinguished individual, Mr. Chris Santos Okorike, a journalist and development expert. Please, let's celebrate him because he will not come unless you clap. Put your hands together for him.
Igbo mamano, Igbo, Mono, Supaziano, Rieno, Ogadrunuma, Dalono, Omoya make an unu. So, Bikono, I am now so quite Igbo, so Igbo, Cosida Batam Nuche, Cosida Batam non, 9 Ekene, Upu Baroko. Order. I know the government and only the rule of Igbo Kahano, Yabu, Kamakoga Balan. But one thing I actually want to, some question, just a few questions I wanted to ask before I can start passing the mic is, who is that person that who will save an Igbo? Because all these things you mentioned are at the heart of our problem as Igbo. And a lot of people have said a lot. We've heard some of these things in many fora across Igbo land and even in diaspora. But yet, it seems as if nobody is responsible. Who will save the Igbo land? In my own dream, in my quiet place, when I think back, I think about this particular question. Who will save the Igbo land? And I don't seem to get the answer very clearly. And in my mind, my finger points at Ohaneze and Igbo. Why? Because now, Ohaneze seemed to be at the center of the things. If he was actually working the way he was visualized, he's supposed to have brought everybody together, including the states. In fact, in my mind, all the governors should be behind, or if you call it, under the Ohaneze as the umbrella, controlling umbrella, to show the vision. Because Ohaneze the vision of the cultural vision, the spiritual vision, and everything. The government should be able to follow and support. But this state in a way, instead of bringing us together, balkanizing us, dividing us. So discrimination, internal discrimination. When you come to the Igbo land or even in the states, all those kind of things, those are the things that spoil us. So who, my first question will be, Who do you think we build these cards? Konye ke bozo. Anesi anazo kife wedimma.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for that very important question. I think who will save the Igbo nation from what we are seeing today, with its ugliness staring on our faces? I'll tell you that Ohaneze is there, but Ohaneze is not the first line of action. Who will save the Igbo nation from the crisis, looming crisis, depends on you and I, and everybody here. Because when you're thinking about social justice, it starts from home. From our young ones. That's why I'm happy that our young ones are here. It starts when we are giving our housemates and houseboys spoiled food. When we are dressing them in gaps that are torn and faded. When they are doing all the domestic chores while our children are at school. When we send them to the parks to hawk pure water, remember that there is social injustice meted today. And the same social injustice meted at home will be carried out to the groups, to the societies, to the communities, and to the states. So all hands must be on deck. And it's a question of drumming it into the ears, particularly the ears of our young ones, that there must be a shift.
Domestic staff. It reminds me that in the recent times, there has always been clamor on news. I work with the BBC, by the way, and in some time at the BBC, we found that in almost like a year, you could have almost 20 domestic violence. And for some stroke of chance or luck, it looks as if all these things are happening in the southeast, in Igbo. And we started asking, why is it so? Is it that na ndibai emorozi funanya ni mai or nanya gotari hai neme ojibo so sai na gwagi obo na agota stories idel na BBC Igbo service basaro domestic violence in that particular year. If I know 80% of it buna east coming.
Thank you very much. I'm happy because I saw most of the things that happened, even those that burnt children. Breakdown in our values. Breakdown in the values that say that the children are precious. And the children belongs to everybody. I remember when we were growing up in the 70s and 80s. Our mothers would leave us with one woman, a woman, and then all the children would be there running around, happy. And when she finished cooking, she would give us with her own children or grandchildren. But now, that's why I said individualism. It's only for me. Our women, Igbo women, should go back and have a rethink. They are insulting the Igbo nation. I saw what you were talking about. I said, this idea of August meeting, what are you discussing there? Every time we are talking about money, donate. These are some of the things that should be taught there at the August meeting. You tell them how to mentor these children, that they are precious to us. They are not just students, but they are our children, the people that will succeed us. If we don't bring them up and mentor them properly, they will also unleash violence on the others. and on themselves.
Hello, okay. Dalo kenne. Etaro ibori ife unata. So, ihe ọzọ nchọrọ ka anyị tinye ọnụ here, let it not be like we are, taking it too low. Basalo government, these state governments are well. What do you think will be their role in bringing the Igbo people together, so that any Igbo son or daughter who enters any Igbo state should be able to say that this is my home, I can get a job here without any discrimination? If I go, for instance, to Anambra State, they are not going to look at me as an Abia person. I can get a job in Anambra State, and any Anambra State person can also get a job in Abia State. We've seen a few examples, though. Governor-elect Oti made some few examples that we saw. What can we do? How do we pass this message so that some of them or all of them should be able to take that as a habit and begin to implement it?
We say that examples are better than precepts. Some of them, they say one thing and they do one thing. It's only in Nigeria that politicians will divide their people. And I think that by dividing the people, they can get control of the people and take their resources. They should talk together. We have only 5 Igbo states in Igbo land, in Southeast and East. So why can't they come together and reunite the Igbo instead of dividing us? Remember, it's like in Nigeria. People play on the politics of ethnic groups, the politics of religion, to divide the people and to get control of power and to stay with power and to maintain their power. They use hegemony. And this is what we are seeing in Igbo land. But like you said, that is where Ohaneze, Igbo, if they are honest with themselves and with the people they are running, they said that they are keeping watch over and supervising. They should not sit down and watch. They should give marching orders to the governors that we can no longer accommodate divisions among us. That's just the truth.
So, but do you think that Ohaneze actually has a capacity? Because when we blame them, we also look at their deficiencies. Do you think that Ohaneze has such a capacity to give out such marching orders to the governors, knowing that they are getting their funds from them?
I think we have to be honest with ourselves. Ohaneze Ndigbo has lost its glamour and its teeth to bite because of selfish reasons of individuals and way and manner of their coming into power. In the past, it used to be a uniting force, the voice of the people. But you can see that people don't disobey them now because some of them will go for individual bargains. If they are really for the people, they have to re-examine and reform themselves and the union to come back and give much. If not, they sanction the person who does not want to obey them. During politics, if we say, every Igbo person in this place, don't vote in this governor, watch your votes, then they will obey the marching order. But like whatever we are doing, that principle of Onyanga and Nwanne that inculcates and encapsulates communalism and egalitarianism is no longer there. And that is why Igbo land is the way it is.
Things have fallen apart,
yeah.
And then the center can hold.
You are right.
So Please, I don't want to dominate this discussion because I know some of us will have some questions. So let's open up the floor now for anybody that has any question to ask the Prof.
Ìgbò mma. Good evening, all. I am very happy and to be here. And today's topic, I love today's topic because there is something that is happening that we need help. Onyaga na nwanne ya na Igbo, but ndị Igbo kana hapụ nwanne ha. Why I say this is that currently, anyway, a draft bill for public health na Anambra State, nke na-ekwu okwu imegide persons affected. I see they should be removed. They should be detained and removed because of what? Na ha bịara ụwa. Onwere onye bịara n'ụwa ka amụọ ya ka ọ bụrụ onye na-aya ahụ. Mana nzukọ ụwa bụ ihe mere onye ahụ ọ na-eme gịnị aya ahụ. Why can't we carry them along and render help to them instead of making this law ka wee mee gịnị ka e detain ha ka achụpụ ha? My question is, as it is now, on a Anambra State, enwere ihe ọhaneze ndị Igbo nwere ike ime to help those persons affected by neglected tropical disease? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Nobody, not even the governor of the state, has the right to remove anybody. It is an aberration. And I must call it an abomination if it ever exists. Why can't they put a write-up, even in the social media and post? It will go everywhere. I think they have also an association of people that live with disability. And I think Jake Pepple is the chairman of the Pele. Yes. He's always there on the television. Nobody has the right to remove you from anywhere. You have the right to exist like any other person. Write it and put into the social media and let the attention of the governor be drawn. Section 42 says, of the Constitution says, that there is no discrimination of any citizen, of anybody, on account of the circumstances of his birth. Nobody has the right to do that. You have to come together as a group and defend yourselves. Not even the governor of the state has the right to do that. I must restate it again. If he's not aware, make him to be aware.
Yeah. When also.
Thank you, Prof. This Nkata reminds me that Igbo did not end in Southeast State alone. 2 years ago, I traveled to Benue, and the community I visited is Igbo-speaking community. I was astonished. A friend of mine, his name is Ikechukwu Igbo. He's from Benue State. Their community is what is the name of the community? Ndabosh. He mentioned the community is Ndabosh. And we met a man there, one old man. The man complained bitterly how we abandoned them because they are now in Benue State. How do we organize ourselves? How can we remember our brothers in Benue, Kogi, Delta, and other states? Every time We will be shouting Southeast, Southeast State, Southeast State, as if that Igbo State end in five Eastern states. It's not so. I know. I have been doing my best, and I want you to do your best. If you leave it for Ohanes and Igbo, they may not get it right. All of them are politicians. What their interest is their pocket first. And I'm not happy with the discussion I have with the man that very day. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much.